Silence isn't always peaceful sometimes. Silence is the loudest warning you'll ever ignore. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a single dramatic moment. It's a Saturday afternoon with nowhere to be, a phone that hasn't moved in hours, a birthday that passed, and the only person who remembered was an app. You open your contacts, you scroll, and somewhere between the names you realize there is not one person you would feel comfortable calling just to say, "I'm not okay," and the worst part, you don't even know when that happened. At first, you rationalize it. Maybe I got busy. Maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe this is just what growing up looks like. Maybe everyone drifts eventually, so you adapt. You fill the silence with work, with screens, with the quiet performance of being fine. You tell yourself this is temporary. That connection is something you'll prioritize later, when things settle down, when life slows. But life doesn't slow, and later never comes. And underneath that performance, something is eroding, something you can't quite name, but you feel it in the mornings, you feel it on Sunday evenings, you feel it most when you're surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Here is what nobody is telling you. This feeling, this quiet, invisible disconnection, is not a personal failure. It is not a character flaw. It is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is structural right now. Millions of men are slowly disappearing from social life, not loudly, not dramatically, not with any announcement, just fading, one cancelled plan at a time, one unreturned message at a time. One more evening spent alone, mistaken for independence. And the terrifying part, the world is barely noticing, because the world was never calibrated to notice male disappearance looks too much like male strength, and that confusion is costing lives. Let's start with the numbers, because this is not a feeling. This is a measurable reality. According to recent data from Gallup, roughly 1 in 4 men between the ages of 15 and 34 report feeling lonely every single day, not occasionally, not during a rough season, daily. That means millions of men wake up each morning carrying a persistent, quiet weight, a sense of disconnection they were never given the language to describe. And that's just the emotional data. Now look at the infrastructure beneath it. 30 years ago, it was uncommon for a man to report having 0 close friends. Today, that number has multiplied dramatically. Nearly 20% of men now say they have no close friends at all. Not one person to call during a crisis. Not one person who knows what is actually happening inside their world. That isn't independence, that is social malnutrition. And social malnutrition, like physical malnutrition, doesn't announce itself loudly. It just slowly weakens everything. Men are significantly less likely than women to receive emotional support from friends, less likely to express vulnerability, less likely to say "I'm struggling" without immediately softening it with humor or redirecting it toward a solution. Over time, this compounds. Emotional isolation becomes normalized, silence becomes routine, and when you remove consistent human connection from a species that is fundamentally wired for it, the consequences are biological, not just emotional. Motivation declines, risk tolerance shifts in dangerous directions, resilience erodes, creativity narrows, the nervous system begins adapting to isolation. The way a body adapts to chronic stress, slowly recalibrating its baseline toward a survival mode. Yet the dominant narrative frames this as an attitude problem. We are told men just need to open up more, reach out more, try harder, build better habits. But when 20% of a demographic reports having no close friendships, we are no longer looking at individual failure, we are looking at environmental collapse. Something in the structure is corroding. Male bonds, community has been replaced with competition. Brotherhood with performance, shared struggle with curated image. We are more digitally connected than any generation in human history, yet structurally more alone than ever before. If you feel like you are drifting while everyone else seems anchored, Understand this, you are not observing a personal defect. You are observing a pattern, and patterns are never accidental. The obvious question: why does nothing seem to happen when a demographic shows this kind of measurable decline? There is usually urgency campaigns, funding, cultural conversation, yet when it comes to male loneliness, the response is muted, often dismissive. Sometimes mocking this is where something called the empathy gap enters the picture, and it is not what most people think. It is. For decades, psychological research showed that women score higher than men on self-reported empathy. Measures, surveys, consistently reflected that difference, and from that data, a cultural assumption was constructed. Women feel more, men feel less. Women are emotionally aware, men are emotionally absent, but self-reporting is not the same as neurological reality. When researchers bypassed self-reporting entirely and measured automatic brain responses using IG and fMRI technology, the gap nearly disappeared. The male brain registers another person's pain almost identically to the female brain. The hardware is comparable, the capacity is not dramatically different, so what explains the real-world gap? Conditioning. Empathy has two layers: capacity and permission. The capacity may be equal, the permission is not. From early childhood, boys are taught to intercept their own emotional responses. Shake it off, don't cry, toughen up, be strong. Over enough repetitions, suppression stops. Feeling like a choice, it becomes identity. Emotional restraint becomes the evidence of competence, the proof that you are handling things. Meanwhile, girls are more often encouraged to articulate what they feel, to notice relational shifts, to maintain emotional networks. Those patterns compound over decades, but the empathy gap is not only about how men give empathy, it is about how men receive it. When a man expresses something real, the cultural reflex is not to sit with it, it is to fix it. Go to the gym, improve yourself, set better goals, get a hobby. Those suggestions are not malicious, they are automatic, but they are not empathy. Empathy witnesses pain without immediately trying to eliminate it. When a man reaches out and receives a strategy instead of presence, the message registers deep. Your pain is a problem to be solved, not a state worth acknowledging. After enough of those responses, he stops reaching out. He learns that expression doesn't bring relief, it brings evaluation. So he goes quiet, and from the outside quiet looks like strength, which makes the problem invisible, which means no one responds, which makes him go quieter still. The loop has begun, but to understand why this loop exists at all, you have to go further back. Much further back, because this is not just cultural, it is ancient. Throughout most of human history, male life was structurally expendable, not because men didn't matter as human beings, but because from a pure survival mathematics, a population recovers faster with fewer men than with fewer women. So men hunted the dangerous game, men fought the wars, men built the infrastructure in lethal conditions. Men entered the mines, crossed the oceans, took on the physical risk that preserved or expanded the group, and the way society made that psychologically acceptable was to frame expendability as honor. Call it courage, call it duty, call it what a real man does. Beneath the language of glory sat a structural truth. Male worth became tied to function. A man was respected for what he could endure, build, protect, or provide. That association was never formally retired. It evolved in the modern world. Most men are not hunting mammoths or storming battlefields, but the internal scorecard remains identical. Am I producing enough? Am I providing enough? Am I strong enough to never need anything from anyone? And when a man answers no to any of those questions, something primitive activates beneath conscious awareness, not as a clear thought, but as a feeling that sits low and persistent. If I stop being useful, I stop being worth keeping. That fear shapes behavior in ways most men never examine. It pushes toward overwork, toward suppressing doubt, toward hiding instability behind productivity, toward competing. Even when completely exhausted, it also makes loneliness uniquely threatening, because loneliness, inside a utility framework, signals something more dangerous than sadness. It signals redundancy. If no one depends on you, needs you, or benefits from what you provide, the primitive alarm activates. Am I becoming irrelevant? This is not conscious reasoning. Most of the time, it sits beneath language, shaping decisions before they reach the surface. And this is where the trap closes completely, because performance and genuine connection operate on entirely opposite mechanics. Performance requires control. Connection requires exposure. To be the man, the inherited script demands you must appear self-sufficient, stable, always reliable, never visibly uncertain. But to build the kind of bond that actually sustains a human being across time, you have to reveal the parts of yourself that cannot perform. You have to say, I don't know, I'm lost, I'm not handling this as well as I look. Those words feel dangerous inside a framework where vulnerability signals worthlessness. So instead, you become the reliable one, the calm one, the man who always has an answer, the one people call when things fall apart. People respect you, they depend on you, they admire your stability, but admiration is not closeness. Utility attracts transactions. It does not automatically create intimacy. If your identity is built entirely around being needed, you may find yourself surrounded, yet completely unknown. People see what you provide. They have never met what you feel. Relationships built on utility remain conditional. When output drops, attention often shifts, and slowly, invisibly, you find yourself more alone than you have ever admitted. No. Take all of that: the empathy gap, the disposable male framework, the utility trap, and watch what they construct together. A self-reinforcing cycle that feeds entirely on silence. It begins with distress. A man feels disconnected, restless, numb. He senses something is off, but the feeling is vague at first, more like background static than a sharp pain. Next, he scans the environment instinctively. Is it safe to express this? He looks at how male vulnerability is received around him. He sees advice offered immediately. He sees weakness corrected, not comforted. He sees other men performing stability, so he calculates the risk of speaking is higher than the cost of staying silent. That is the pivot point. Instead of expression, he performs, he jokes, he shrugs, he says he's tired, busy, focused. He channels discomfort into work, into the gym, into scrolling, into anything that preserves the image of control from the outside. Nothing looks wrong. He shows up, he functions, he produces, and because there is no visible collapse, the world concludes he is fine. That conclusion becomes feedback. Men are strong. Men don't need support. Men are handling it. No one asks the second question. No one pushes past the surface answer. The silence is read as wellness, so he withdraws further. The loneliness deepens. The emotional range narrows. Motivation quietly declines, and years can pass inside that loop. On paper, life looks completely stable. Inside, something essential is disappearing. The most dangerous part of this cycle is not the pain itself, it is the normalization. When isolation becomes routine, it stops feeling like a crisis, it starts feeling like a consequence, like this is simply what adulthood looks like this is the cost of being a man, and that normalization is the final lock on the loop. But here is where it breaks. Not through society suddenly deciding to care, not through some external shift. You have to wait for it breaks. Through recognition, the moment you can see the structure you are standing inside, something changes in how you relate to it. Because you stop asking what is wrong with me, and you start asking what have I been trained to believe about my own worth. That question creates distance from the script, and distance is the beginning of agency. You cannot close the empathy gap overnight, You cannot dismantle decades of conditioning in a week. Structural patterns change slowly, but you can reject the premise of your own experience. You can begin questioning whether your value is actually conditional on your output. You can choose one conversation that is not strategic, one admission that is not wrapped in humor, one moment where you allow someone to see past the performance. That choice will feel uncomfortable. It may even feel like a risk, but that discomfort is not weakness. It is the sensation of something real breaking through something constructed. The man who sees the script gains distance from it. The man who gains distance from it stops participating in his own erasure, and that is where this ends. Not with the world finally noticing, not with some dramatic turning point, but with you deciding quietly that you were never invisible. You were just trained to disappear.